All right, I'm going to tell you. In my household, my husband and I have had to make some compromises when it comes to our dog Stout. I'm sure there are plenty of other couples out there that maybe don't see eye to eye on if the dog could maybe sleep in the bed or how much attention you give your pet. Before it causes maybe a problem, let's check in with our relationship expert, Kat Roby, who's actually brought your own dog with you today.
She decided that I needed to be her parent. She decided on a run that she decided to live with me and my husband, and we had to have a conversation about that because we never wanted to own a dog in our home. And here's Ginger.
And here is Ginger. So it was a conversation that you weren't expecting to have.
Not at all.
But then it needed to be had.
Yeah, and it needs to be had. It actually is something that comes up quite often in my office about, like, where does the dog sleep? Do we want another dog? Do we want more cats? What about this? What about that? Because there's so many things. There's allergies and medical costs and food and who cleans up and oh my gosh, we could talk for days about this one.
You know, what's funny is when we said we wanted to tackle this topic, and we said, you know, where do we start, or how do we kind of, you know, make this segment come together? There were so many different layers of this, but let's start with kind of that communication and, like you were saying, the conversation that needs to be had.
So often, I think, at least what I see and what we've somewhat experienced is we can get locked into what we want. Like, say, for example, sleeping on the bed, whether the dog should be on the bed. There's the person that thinks they should and the person that thinks they shouldn't. Yeah. And what very often happens is they dig into their argument, not necessarily considering or being open to the fact that there might be another way of handling it because they're so concerned that they're going to lose ground. Yeah. Whereas if you said, tell me what it is that makes you not want to have the dog on the bed. Well, I can't get close to you, or there's dog hair on the bed all the time, or I don't mind it during coffee, but I don't like to have him in bed when we're sleeping at night because I'm not comfortable. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. Then we have so much more that we can talk about. Maybe the person who wants the dog in the bed will vacuum the bed a little bit, or will clean it up a little bit, right? See, we'll figure out a way and find solutions versus continuing to have the same conversation where both parties are digging their heels in the ground. Very much things can be personal with pets. You know, like I said, she came into our lives. I didn't necessarily ask for it, but at the same time, it's kind of my doing. Thankfully, it's not the way that we operate, but there's a lot of blaming oftentimes with pets. Well, you wanted the cat, you wanted the dog, you deal with all the things that it comes up with. To a certain degree, that might be true, you know, and so maybe the person who did want it is a little more accountable for some of those things. Or, you know, like I said, just being a little bit more open instead of so guarded and defensive about your position, thinking that you're going to lose ground. Because you're in this together. You know, and you know, another thing that I think is really important is how the dog may or may not be with both people. You know, a lot of times they have different energy with different people, and that can be taken personally. Like, the dog doesn't like me, the cat doesn't like me, and so it somehow gets this fissure in the relationship that's not true, but it's another place that we talk often about. They take it so personally and then add the blame to the partner, thinking, okay, well, you don't want me, or you don't trust me, or you don't respect me, or consider me. And I'm like, those are the underlying feelings, if you can really get down to the bottom of it, where you're not probably arguing about whether the dog should sleep on the bed at all. You're talking about, do you listen when I have a request? Do you care that I want to be closer to you? You know, these bigger things that we're not getting to because we're having these, you know, very stilted conversations that have a right and a wrong, a very binary way.
Yeah. Even people that are dating, I know I've heard people say, you know what, I won't date anybody that doesn't love my cat, or my cat doesn't love you, or it becomes like a deal breaker almost at some point. And on top of that, if there is this tension between me and my significant other and it's about the dog feels it.
Yeah, and then the behaviors are skyrocketing, and then the chaos is, I can't even speak to it.
It's like a domino effect.
It's kind of like a tornado going on, and to stop it, probably the most simple thing to do is just state how you're feeling. You know, say, wow, I don't know what to do. I'm really scared that this is getting between us, or I don't know how to handle this, and I want to be able to talk with you about it. You know, letting all those guards and defensive pieces down and being able to talk differently about it so that the energy changes. You know, there's a lot of ways where they can really help couples too, because it's not necessarily about whether the pet even likes both of them the same, or it's a deal breaker for one and not the other. sometimes it's okay if the pet gets along better with one person or the other, as long as you're both remembering that's just the way it is.
Yes.
It doesn't mean anything more than that. It doesn't mean that you're a good or bad person, or that your boyfriend is a good or bad person because the dog likes it or doesn't like it. That's where we're making stories, and that's where we can get our power back.
Well, it's because you love the dog so much, or you love the cat so much. And like I said, we could talk about this forever. And I know because my own household, and thank you, my husband, who loves me and lets me be the weird dog person that just loves our dogs so much. And it ends up becoming a compromise for sure. Kat, thank you. Ginger, I'm so happy I met you today. Now, if you at home, if you've been interested in professional relationship advice, give Kat Roby a call at 906-3392, or you can visit robycounseling.com.